for reasons well known. In my moonshining in Southern Kentucky video, I told you the story of my family outlaws that pillaged local communities and distilled moonshine. Also, the lawmen in my family, such as my great-grandfather, William Washington Carter, an attorney who was shot in the courtroom around 1924 while arguing a case in front of his brother, the judge, James C. Carter Sr. They were a rather remarkable family, some of whom, on occasion, were accused of blurring the lines between law and lawless. One of Wash's sons was also an attorney, my great-uncle Paul Carter, who, among other elected offices, was the county prosecuting attorney from 1930 to 1950 and Commonwealth prosecuting attorney from 1952 to 1982. Both were elected positions. He never lost an election. Wash's brother, James C. Carter Sr., was, among other positions, the Commonwealth Circuit Judge from 1910 to 1946. James C. and his nephew, Paul, appeared in the October 1948 issue of True Detective for solving a murder that baffled even the bloodhounds, and thus the article was appropriately titled The Case of the Baffled Bloodhounds. It seems here, in this rural Appalachian county, a married woman was having an affair and lured her husband one moonless night to their kitchen window, where, from the outside shadows, the wife's lover felled the husband with a bullet. Justice was served, however, as Paul, Uncle James, and the local sheriff solved the crime. James C. Carter Sr., just as his brother Wash did, left a fairly distinguished family of attorneys and medical doctors. One daughter, nicknamed Pistol Packing Pearl, was the Commonwealth of Kentucky's first female sheriff elected to a 4-year term. Son James C. Jr. succeeded his father as Commonwealth Circuit Judge from 1946 to 1984. Another son, Tim Lee, was an Army medical doctor in World War II and United States Congressman from 1964 to 1980. Another son, Abe, was county prosecuting attorney from 1946 to 1984. The sheriff, Pearl Carter Pace, had a son, Stanley Carter Pace, an aeronautical engineer who graduated at the top of his West Point class in 1943 and on his 29th mission as a B-24 pilot was shot down over Germany, becoming a prisoner of war, and after the war became chairman and COO of TRW Corporation and later chairman and CEO of General Dynamics. The New York Times in 1986 labeled him Mr. Clean for establishing a rigorous program of ethics standards while head of General Dynamics. So, it was a curiosity for me to find an old political advertisement from a local paper saying, "For reasons well known, we, the children of Smith Vaughn deceased, thereby most respectfully request the voters of the district not to support J.C. Carter of Tompkinsville for re-election." Well, to spend money for an advertisement in such olden times to say, "for reasons well known," suggests that, well, the community must know, or think they know, something quite well. A hint as to what this was about was revealed from a statement my acerbically witted great-grandfather Wash made to his nephews. It seems the judge's sons, who lived in fine dwellings in town, once chided their country-living Uncle Washington by saying, "Dear Uncle Wash, you embarrass the family by driving around town in such a worn-out buggy." Wash replied, "My buggy is worn out from hauling Smith Vaughn's stomach around the countryside to keep your daddy out of the pen." Wash always seemed to have a witty line. His third wife, Roxy, finally dragged him to church later in life, and upon arriving, a sanctimonious old widow, a church lady, came up to Wash and said, "Oh, Wash, I hope to see you in heaven." Wash gently placed his hand upon the church lady's, looked her affectionately in the eye, and replied, "You must try, Miss Oni, you must try." Well, it seems a well-known rumor around this time was that the old judge was having a salacious affair with Miss Vaughn, shown here. Are there any other kinds? But that was not the worst of it. Mr. Vaughn died suddenly and unexpectedly on September 3rd, 1909. Allegedly, he had been poisoned. And of course, the rumor was old Judge Carter was responsible. The judge's political enemies, of course, seized upon the rumor, and in June 1912, the Monroe County Kentucky coroner ordered Smith Vaughn's body dug up, I guess the proper word is exhumed, for an examination, which occurred on June 13, 1912. According to my family lore, upon digging the body up, the dead man's stomach was missing. And with the crude autopsy capability, with a buried body for almost 3 years, nothing conclusive was determined. Now, I don't know if his missing stomach was fact or an old family tale, but we do know of the exhumation from a later lawsuit, Grinstead versus Monroe County. I suppose the old judge's allies controlled the county fiscal court, the county budget, because even though the coroner had appointed the doctor for his exhumation duties, the fiscal court refused to pay the doctor. So the doctor who had performed the autopsy and post-mortem examination sued the county. The Kentucky Appellate Court ruled against the plaintiff, the doctor, claiming the coroner failed to follow procedures in hiring him, procedures that were codified in law and thus well known.